Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining today, Thursday, February 16th, for our Eloqua User Group meeting. My name is Kristin Connell. I will be leading the group today, and we will have two others joining us for presentations today. One, Kelly Newton from the Sojourn team. She'll be joining in a bit to give us a time-saving tip, quick demo, and then also Nathan from Oracle will be joining. I might have to interrupt what we're doing just briefly to add them in, or they might actually just be automatically added in. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll find out. We'll all find out together. Okay, let me go ahead and see if I can make this move. Here we go. Yeah, so our agenda, we'll get started with relevant reminders to keep you in the Eloqua know. And then, as I mentioned, Kelly Newton from our Sojourn team will be joining us to go over a campaign canvas time-saving tip with a bit of a demo there. And then Nathan from Oracle will be joining to do highlights, a recap on Eloqua 23A new release, and answer any questions you may have on that. We'll also be providing you with links to go and look into that in further detail, as well as the full webinar on that release. And then we'll have, as usual, our open forum where you can ask any questions or share any tips you may have. Okay, so before we dive into that, we always have a monthly spotlight as we get started prior to getting into the actual agenda items. This month, February, is Heart Month. So that means a couple different things. For many of us, that means Happy Valentine's Day and Happy Valentine's Day to you all. For me and my family, it also means heart health awareness, specifically for our family, for you, for our kids, for the youth. And I wanted just to spotlight this just briefly in terms of youth heart health and some tips and a bit of our story. So I founded what I call an advocacy called BC20. BC20 is my son, and he, in May 6th, 2019, he was 16, pitching for his high school baseball team, and he collapsed on the mound and sudden cardiac arrest. He survived wonderfully, beautifully survived, and he survived due to this cardiac chain of survival that you see here on your screen. This is called out as an adult out of hospital cardiac chain of survival. It is exactly the same cardiac, chain of survival that that helped to save his life. Part of our advocacy is awareness and education, because we didn't know what we didn't know until this happened to us. And so through BC20, we like to educate and share as much as we can. And this is one of those months that we do that, given that it's National American Heart Month. So just briefly, what happened with him. Immediately 911 was called. He was on, one of the high school campuses here locally. CPR, hands-only CPR, was immediately administered. We were so incredibly fortunate that there were knowledgeable bystanders there, his coaches in the stands. There were doctors and nurses there to see the game itself. CPR is hands-only these days. No more mouth-to-mouth necessary. In most cases, it's simply a hands-only process there. So that got started immediately on him. There was an AED present, an automated external defibrillator. Again, a brand new phrase for us at that time, but that is what allowed them to shock his heart to get it restarted. Just briefly, cardiac arrest is an electrical issue where your heart stops versus a heart attack where it's a plumbing issue. So first responders arrived within 13 minutes. They were able to treat him and move him to the hospital, where he was able to work with an amazing team of doctors and nurses and staff at our local Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City. And then he has had a recovery that's ongoing over the last, it'll be 4 years this May. And again, we didn't know what we didn't know when this all happened. We spent 12 days in the hospital with him. I learned a lot in that time. And again, the BC20 is part of our advocacy platform on sharing what we've learned and hoping that others will take some of these lessons to heart and incorporate them into what you do. Just real quick, because I couldn't be a marketer without some top takeaways here. And again, this had a really the best ending possible for us, and as we've gone through this with our son. And just briefly, he went on to finish his high school season. He got to his high school baseball banquet. He went on to college and played his freshman year at a D2 school. So he's doing wonderfully. And again, these types of lessons are what can lead to that type of outcome. So top takeaways for Heart Month. Again, our advocacy is focused on youth, but these could really be applied to anyone. We really encourage you and your family and friends to learn hands-only CPR, ideally with an AED involved. You can even do this from home. Sometimes it's just real difficult to find the time to get out and about, but you can Google like free CPR training near me and find numerous resources. The one I have listed here is parentheartwatch.org. They're a national advocacy for youth heart health. Again, something we learned when this happened to our family. And then this link actually takes you to a page on their site where they show you how to set up something as simple at home using a toilet paper roll and a towel. To get you started, but I definitely recommend pursuing additional training and potentially even certifications if you'd like to do that as well. The other part is to be aware where AEDs are in your community or when you're traveling. Again, the AED is what restarts the heart. CPR doesn't do that. It keeps the blood flowing. It has a very important role in this whole chain of survival, but an AED is what will restart the heart. There are apps via a foundation called Pulse Point that will show you where AEDs are located. It's a subscription type of a network service, but I always just do a quick lookup to find out where the local fire stations and hospitals are, and I always am on the lookout for the little signs when we travel and share pictures of those. Finally, the third part of our advocacy is youth heart screenings. So this is not something that happens in the physician's office when you take your child in for a wellness check or a sports physical. If you've completely and fully completed the information, the history, and if there's any flags there, your pediatrician or family doctor may have some additional questions for you. Again, but this is not something that's typically recommended, but I highly recommend it. We don't know that it would have identified what caused my son's cardiac arrest because it's never been fully diagnosed, but it's definitely something where we've seen other children's lives potentially be saved by having undetected heart conditions detected through these heart screenings. There's an EKG and ECGs, lots of acronyms involved. Basically, if you do a quick Google search, you probably will find an organization near you locally that does these types of things. We have one here locally. We've built quite a network across the country and actually even globally. My husband there specifically. So if you ever have any questions on this, again, this is something very near and dear to our hearts, and you definitely feel free to reach out to me, via LinkedIn. You can email me. I'll have my email available here later in our presentation today, and be glad to help. So just wanted to highlight that as our spotlight for February. Now we'll get into it with relevant reminders. Stay in the Eloqua know. Like we mentioned already, Eloqua's next new release, 23A, is actually happening now. The schedule actually puts that last pod 8 out today. So I do have links here that you can go back into Topliners and read anything and everything you'd want to learn about the release. You can actually sign up to get new releases yourself, as well as system status, Tip Tuesdays, product roadmap updates. We have that link available here. These slides will be shared. Also, as always, we call out the free user training that Eloqua offers. There's a ton of great information, step-by-steps in the Eloqua Help Center. I actually tapped into a little bit of that myself last week. Love it. Oracle University Eloqua Explorer, there's a 1-hour course there. We have that link, and then also Eloqua's YouTube channel. Check that out. If you ever miss one of our Eloqua user groups, we have all of our past recordings in our resources center on our website. We have that link available. And then you know, we all need to laugh a little bit sometimes, and I specifically love to laugh in and around marketing humor. I've added a link here. I don't know if you've all have heard of before of the Marketunist. So Tom Fishburne is a career marketer and cartoonist, and I have a link here to his site, and you can actually do a search on key terms. But his cartoons are awesome, amazing, and phenomenal. I used to put them into most of my presentations when I was consulting more full time. Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's fun to share internally in a chat group, and you might want to even start one specifically for them once you see them if you haven't before. So with that, let me see if we have, Kelly yet. Kelly, have you been able to join? Ah, yes, I just need to find her and allow her to talk. Hello, Kelly.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much.
Happy to help. Yeah, this is something that has been common lately with some of my clients where I'll be going through on a call some campaign changes or modifications, showing them some features of the tool. And they've been like, whoa, what? You can do that? And it's a pretty big time saver, game changer. So I wanted to share that with everybody today. So Kristin, if you wouldn't mind driving, just since I'm having some technical issues with Zoom right now, I can't get my screen to share. I just need a campaign canvas.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
Right.
I apologies. I did not have that up and ready, and I'm on dual screens. So let me make sure I can get the right one going. No worries. This is this is a user group. Yeah, this is a user group. Like, we're all good here, right? Okay. Let me just figure out what I need to do. Okay, I'm getting closer. Okay, Cal, you go.
Okay, great. So essentially, okay, so your screen is, all right. So what we're gonna do is, if you pull up the campaign canvas, it's essentially copy paste. And a lot of you might be like, oh, well, yeah, of course. But it come up more than once lately, clients that didn't know that you could copy paste on the campaign canvas. So I thought that would be good to share. Do you have, I see your cursor there, Kristin, are you switching it?
Do you see the campaign canvas? Is it not sharing it? Oh gosh.
I'm just seeing the
You're still seeing the slides. Okay, let me do a new share and just see if I can. There we go. Y'all, this is the raw Eloqua user group flow going today for you. And by the way, she's like surprising me on this. And Kelly, I will get you back. Like, I have some really good footage of you in Vegas in the kitchen cooking. Let me just put it there. Y'all are going to get an extra picture in the follow-up email. Let's put it that way. Okay. So do I just want to create, we want to just go create a multi-step? Okay.
So create a multi-step campaign, just blank one. Grab a couple of campaign steps on the left and put them onto the canvas. And if you wouldn't mind connecting them together. So sometimes this comes up when you're making a really elaborate campaign workflow. And, you know, maybe you need to split your campaign at the top into US and Canada. And the contacts need to flow through the same process, but that the emails will be different content, you know, or location specific or anything like that. So what I'm going to have you do, Kristin, is if you could then like click down and select all of those in like one big square. So yeah,
it's like that.
So you go like that and then right click.
Uh-oh, I think I lost it.
Oh, yeah.
Like that, and then right click.
Yep, and copy.
Copy.
And then paste. and then drag them.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go figure out. I need to go make some campaigns now. I
And the other
remember
thing-
when the campaign. I'm gonna date myself here, but
Yeah.
I remember when the campaign canvas was first demoed at an Eloqua experience. It was Chris Petco on stage many, many moons ago, but I just was like, oh. And I was torn because I love Program Builder and I still do, but this kind of brings back that ooh, awesome feeling.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it's a great moment, especially with a tool like this, to be able to just use it the way you want to.
Yeah.
That you're like, oh, I wish I could just copy paste this. You can.
Yeah. Let's see. Does anyone have any questions on this? Am I seeing nothing in the chat? Well, I don't even think I mentioned, I apologize in my housekeeping as we started, like if you have a question, I'm sure you all know how it goes, right? If you have a question, put it in the chat or in the Q&A actually. I'll put any resources we have in the chat, but if you have a question, put it in the Q&A and we'll cover it. But wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And
this.
then the other thing that you can do is a client mentioned to me yesterday that it took them weeks to figure it out, how to remove those connectors that you put between the steps. So you just click on one of those blue arrows, anyone.
Find my cursor again. There we go.
And hit delete.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, it's so sometimes, you put something together and then you change your mind or you're going to need to add a step in between. That's how easy it is. So it might seem really simple if that's something you've been doing for years, that's great. But I noticed it more than once recently that this was something that clients weren't aware of. So I thought best to demo that for you guys today. Thank you so much for being my hands, Kristin.
Okay, hold on, girl. You're not done yet. Here we go. Okay, I think you can use keyboard shortcuts for this as well.
Yes, you can. Yeah. Control-C, Control-V on a Mac.
Yeah, I Control-V to paste. So that worked for me on the Dell. Awesome. We love Control-C, Control-V. Okay, and then extra tip, you can copy paste across a separate campaign canvas too, as long as the other canvas gets loaded in the same tab. Andrew, score. That is awesome. So from one campaign canvas to another, you don't have to copy the whole thing. You can just take out a section of it, as long as it gets loaded in the same tab. I mean, that's a win. Like, I'm done. I mean, I know we're going to have the rest of this user group, but then I think I'll sign off for the day. Answer 5. Thank you, Andrew. And then what else do we have here? Oh, yep, chat. Oh, sorry, chat is disabled. My bad. So, yep, in Q&A, we got it going here. A reminder that if a contact exists in both segments, they will only enter the campaign once and exist only one of the email flows. So yeah, excellent point, Ellen. So Kel, if we copy this and we copy the segments, you had mentioned the use case of like having a US segment maybe versus a Canada segment, knowing that. So what we're saying here is that if a contact exists in both, they're only going to be, well, they'd only be in one. Period.
Yes. Yeah. So
keep that in mind.
In when you're using this in a practical sense, you would not copy the segment itself. This was more just a demonstration of the ability of the tool. So it would be essentially you have your one segment and then a wait step blitz. And that's when, you might start having different areas that need to be copy pasted. For example, I had one where it went segment, and then was a check for the country step. So it determined, if they were US or Canada, and the no path was Canada and the yes path was the US. And then what we copy pasted was we built out the entire workflow for Canada and then copied that and pasted it for the US. And then in future, they needed to add on, the UK and APAC and so on and so forth. So then it really saved them a lot of time because they could just copy and paste those huge workflows top to bottom and drag them over for each different country and then just change out the assets.
Nice. Yeah, very nice. Okay, here's another one. If you had all the settings specified, will those all copy as well?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't give you blank steps. So So if you had an email asset in there and a time in the wait step and the campaign specifically and all the settings in these tabs, all of it copies.
So we do this.
So you have to go through.
Oh, but I'd have to
every
fill
single
all
one
of them.
and change it.
Y'all aren't gonna make me do that, are you? Believe us, it works. If it doesn't, like, yeah, come for me, please. But yeah, no, awesome. So that was an anonymous, great question. Thank you. Let's see. So, so the example about having, let's see, Ellen, so if going back to that example where if a contacting this in both segments, they only enter the campaign once, it only exists in one of the email flows. So for example, if the marketers want to receive both versions of the email, so it's a great use case. You have, you'll have maybe seed lists associated to both segments where the marketers are the same. So in that case, would you have to, like, could you solve that by if you did allow contacts to enter more than once, would it put them in both segment flows?
I would recommend having a separate segment for your seed list contacts.
There you go.
Yeah. And so you keep them separate from the people you actually want to mail to, and then you can sort them accordingly. So what a lot of people do that I've seen is they'll have their segment of contacts that they want to reach out to, and then they'll have a segment of internal seed list people that will check, to make sure everything's good. Not that it's not QA'd ahead of time, of course, but accidents happen or things change at the last minute. And what they do is they set the wait step for the seed list, so the internal team to receive the email, about an hour before the time set for the contacts to receive the same email. So that if there's anything that requires a last minute change of a link or something, is pointing somewhere, or, you're hoping you might get that information that you want to include in that email at the last absolute second, you could plug it in.
That never happens. What are you talking about? You're talking about chaos. No. So, but what if you have, so that's a great scenario there. And so if you have the two different flows that are going live, and Kristin wants to get the email that goes to the US, and Kristin wants to get the email that goes to Canada, is that possible, I guess, like this, if you are doing it that way? I haven't ever tested that.
If you wanted to get both, I think it's just about how you would configure the steps. So if you received email 1 and then you receive email 2,
in the seedless flow, boom, boom, boom.
It would just be a separate workflow. So on your chart there, what you have on the screen, if the segment on the right was your seed list, you would just put both emails right underneath it.
So then you just do like this, and this is the seed list.
If that,
email 1, email 2, and then this would be the US flow, and then
contacts, and then there'd be a US and Canada flow. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Where's my cursor? Can you use the same email twice in the same canvas?
Yes, you can. There is a step that you need, or there's a box you need to check. So if you open up the email step there on the canvas, go to sending options, allow emails to be sent to past recipients. That box needs to be checked.
Okay, so that allows the same email twice in the canvas. So is that what that does? So if I have this email here.
Yeah, so if you had that email and then you wanted to send it like a reminder, you wanted to send it, 5 days before the webinar, hey, that you registered, this is coming up, then you would check that box so that the person who had received that same email previously would be able to receive it again. Otherwise it would be stopped, to prevent, a sending loop or bounces.
Okay, so Amy, does that answer your question? I think that was, man, you guys are firing today. I love this. We're gonna keep going with this QA. Nathan's not here for another 3 to 4 minutes. Would there be an issue if you have 2 segments with separate emails on the same canvas? So some of our users are thinking of doing this as they find it more convenient than setting up 2 separate canvases. two segments with separate emails in the same canvas. Is that an issue? As long as they're in the same as long as it all is flowing into the same campaign, I don't think that's going to be an issue.
No,
that
the
right,
only thing would just be any contact overlap.
Any contact? Yeah. So when they're setting up the segments.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
just have to make sure that your segments are clean of any duplicates. And then you can have two segments on the same canvas, but there is a add to campaign step feature that you could use, which doesn't remove the contact from here, but sends them to that other campaign as well. So they would flow through that step, be added to the other campaign, and then continue to go through this campaign. So you don't have to use the move to campaign step unless you want to completely remove them from this campaign and take them somewhere else entirely.
I love it. Okay, that was someone anonymously. Okay,
yeah,
so if the
most engagement that I've seen,
I know,
I've done several of these.
this is awesome. Okay, so if the seedless contacts can still only be in the campaign once, they can't be going down both paths.
That's right.
So they would be in their own, it would be a seedless path only.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah,
rather
the
than
seedless-
stacking it above each, if you have a seedless, you would have a seedless flow to allow them to receive both emails, and then you would have your
So the seed list flow
other
would
flows.
run kind of parallel, and typically you would want to set it up so that there's a wait step that holds the internal seed list people there before the email sends, so that you make sure that they get the email ahead of your actual database, just in case there's anything at the last minute. So your
something
seed list,
kind of like this would be the
your
seedless
seed list
flow.
thing would run parallel, and it would be completely different in that sense, because you're not going to be checking your seed list for decision steps or behavior or activities throughout. You're just making sure they're sent the email, right?
Yep, no, this makes sense. So you have your wait, and then you have your other flows that are going to go. You just have the timing of the step of your wait steps to give you the ability to go in and make any edits if that's what you're wanting to do from the seed list. Personally, my seed lists are typically informational only. Like there's QA built into up until it goes into activate mode, and then it's just FYI, this just went out. But everyone has a different process that they're having to deal with. Let's see. Wow, this is awesome. I think Karen planned it so that I would have all of these questions. She's such a sweetheart. Yeah, and then you would use a shared list of seeds and have it distributed the second email if they're in the shared list. Yeah, a shared list of seeds and distribute it in the second email if they're in the shared list. I think that's what we've just. Okay, yeah, Amy says yes. I need to read on before I start answering anything else. Okay, here we go. Great tips. Thank you. You are so welcome. Oh, I love it. Like live feedback. Y'all are great. This is awesome. I need to do this every week. If you had a shared list decision step. Oh, gotcha, Amy. So if you had a shared list decision step.
Yeah.
Then that will move them down to the next email. That'll move it to the second email. So you could put that decision step in there. Yeah, I think the logic is going to be based on what's going to make the most sense for what you're trying to accomplish with it. But there's definitely various ways that you can go in to build that seedless flow, do what you need to do with it, whatever validation you need from it, then to be able to get the others going out.
Yeah, and I would make sure that your seedless workflow, every email in there includes that checkbox checked for allow to be sent to past recipients, because more than likely people in that seed list were sent it as a test or a live test send kind of thing ahead of this campaign going out for approval processes. So the last thing you want is to not get that email that you're expecting when you're trying to test this campaign flow ahead of your database. So make sure you check that box if you do put together a seed list route.
Awesome. Okay. Okay, one more question. Nathan has joined us. We'll just do, I have one more here. Okay, actually it's not a question. We have I think a tip here. There is a setting in the campaign canvas that allows someone to enter the campaign more than once. So they could be in both paths. I don't know if that means they can be in both paths. So we do have the option. We do have the campaign setting. I think it's over here, isn't it?
Yep.
Look at me.
Allow contacts to enter.
Yeah, right here, but I don't, so this will allow them to come in more than once, like triggered events, but I don't think that that means they could be in two unique paths at the same
No,
time.
they can't. They can't.
Okay.
Allow them to enter more than once for a like nurture type campaign, because previously what Eloqua found is they had to remove the ability to check that box as well as members added regularly, I believe, from the segment. Otherwise, people are just flowing through on an infinite loop. So now if you have your segment set to add members regularly, you cannot check allow contacts to enter the campaign more than once.
Okay.
So some limitations, but
Oh my gosh, where's
that
my
would allow
cursor?
people to keep flowing in as they qualify for the filter criteria in your segment.
Got it there. The contact would need to exit the campaign before they can re-enter. Yep. Man, the group is going off here in Q&A. I love
Awesome.
this. Y'all are answering each other's. Thank you very much. Like, your checks are in the mail. Just kidding. I probably can't send any of you checks, but happy thoughts. Happy thoughts. Okay, if there's, let's see, I don't see, I think it looks like our flow has kind of slowed down there on questions here. Kelly, thank you so much.
Well,
I'm
happy
so
to.
glad I was in the campaign canvas like this last week to like sharpen up my skills a little bit to know where to go when I was clicking. Thank you for guiding me. Again, thank you all for the questions you had here. I think we're going to flip over if we don't have any other questions now to Nathan. Let me just see if I can figure this out. So on my
If anyone thinks of any questions while we're going through the rest of the call today, feel free to post those in the Q&A as well. And if we don't get to them on the call, I'm happy to follow up with Kristin, and then she can include that in the follow-up email after this. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cal. All right, so next up we have Nathan joining us for the 23A new release highlights. Nathan, did you need to share a screen, or are you going to be speaking to?
Hi, Kristin. We can do it either way. I mean, it's the same deck that was presented back on January 18th. It was 23A release briefing and highlights. I can share the same deck, but I was kind of thinking about maybe we can I mean, everyone can rewatch their kind of watch the recording. What I was thinking about, if we can slow down, and there are specific questions about specific items that being released, or specific areas that that's not on the release, but your kind of specific Eloqua question or specific or something you noticed, previous releases, but you're not sure where it's going. So that's the perfect opportunity to ask these questions. If I can answer, I will answer it on the spot. If I don't know the exact answer, I'll be happy to take questions away and come back with answers later.
Okay, that's awesome, Nathan. So I think the way we have it set up, everyone, is if you have a question to come through the Q&A
Okay.
in the toolbar. I wonder if I can turn everyone on to talk. If
not, that's fine. We can do it via chat. Just another kind of note. So my my portfolio within Eloqua is related to integration. So I can definitely talk about all other great things Eloqua, but one specific area where I have kind of I live and breathe daily is integrations in general and CRM integrations particular. So we have a number of updates to Salesforce app in 23A. I can, if there's an interest, again, I'm happy to answer more questions about these specific changes, or I can.
Yeah, let me just actually, no, it's a great point, Nathan. Let me pull up. I think I had this link into like the kind of the highlight components of 23A. Are you able to see the screen here?
Yeah, I can see the screen.
Awesome. So here are the highlights. Were there any, did anyone, has anyone attended any of the release info, or has it been released where you maybe have some questions about any of these pieces or anything else? Put it in the Q&A for us.
If not, I can briefly kind of go item by item, like HTML markup and insight, etc.
Yeah,
What it
let's go
means.
ahead and
Yeah,
do that, and I'll keep an eye on the Q&A. Nathan, if you
sure.
have a question, I'm just going to shout it out. I'll be like, hey, got a question. That'll be the
Okay,
cue.
yeah, here we go. Works. All right. The first item, HTML markup in Insight. Okay. Second. I want to make sure I have the right information in front of me.
Now, should I pull up a different? I mean, there's a ton of information here. I can pull something else up here too.
Go Cloud. It just order. Yeah, order is not the same. 1 second. I will actually Insight. Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Sorry,
we're all going with the flow today because
sorry for it.
No worries.
Insight actually.
Kelly joined and made me pull up Eloqua for her, and I had to like drive in Campaign Canvas. So if you need to, like, if this order is not matching what you got, you just
that's fine.
Just
I'll
work it.
just disregard the order. I will talk to that. So so we'll chat about integrations in general. There are a few areas related to integration. So first talk about Microsoft Outlook add-in auto update. So it's related to Eloqua Sales Tools. So Eloqua Sales Tools for Microsoft Outlook update is coming, has actually already been released, because actually Eloqua extensions are updated monthly. So unlike core Eloqua, it's updated quarterly. So after this update, users must have both Engage and Outlook. So first of all, you have to have both Engage and Outlook licenses to log in to this add-in. Outlook add-in will update automatically, and the users can continue to use Outlook during update. So this whole update is completely transparent. And yeah, so there's if you're using Outlook add-in that has already been updated, I kind of if there's any issues or any questions about it, please let us know. Another item related to integration, the Eloqua moves to Oracle Cloud Portal for order provisioning. So there are links for so new customers who placed orders after November 23rd last year. They already been set up. So existing customers, there's a special link with instructions that they need to follow. And by the way, what I realized now, sorry, I'm just kind of stepping aside a little bit. What you see Eloqua Release Center page right now, what it's not there is the deck. Actually, you see the recording, but the deck is not there. So I'll chat with Jody. We'll get it added there. But generally speaking, all these updates, all this information I'm talking about is again, as a reminder, has already been shared on January 18th. In terms of intelligence, email frequency reporting by email group. So now so now you can kind of do a breakdown of total emails sent by Eloqua groups, and you have more key data points to improve campaign performance and manage deliverability. So it's a new reporting endpoint that's available in Eloqua. Another item on intelligence is website setup reporting. So we're updating dashboard and reports that were accessible direct within visitor profiles, query strings, page tagging areas for the platform. So moving forward, when accessing website setup reports, we'll be linking directly to the respective out-of-the-box dashboards in Insight reporting areas instead. So if you go Eloqua website setup, there are three links there: visitor profiles, page tagging, and query strings. So these links I'm talking about. So the benefits of that include consistent and effective reporting across the platform, and we'll be leveraging out of the box dashboards and reports to demonstrate marketing effectiveness. Now we're getting to HTML markup for Insight. So this functionality is enabled now following 23A release. We'll be adding styling and personalization to reports and dashboards. We'll be able to create custom visualizations and their accessibility options. This HTML markup for insight options available to use in analysis editor, analysis properties dialog, column properties dialog, new calculated measure dialog, and dashboard properties dialog. So it's this feature, this is idea actually that was originally shared on Topliners on Dream. So we are particularly, I'm always excited to see when we actually able to take an idea that was raised by one of our community members and execute on it and deliver it to it. So yeah, so it's definitely one of those, and hopefully will be used and will be leveraged by many customers. Going to automated certificate management. So there's a new DNS tab in certificate management, and it's currently in CA, and CA program extended for pods 3 and 4. And there's availability for pods 1 and 2. I'll assume most of the folks on the call actually on pod 1. So availability for pods 1 and 2 is still to be determined. If it's something you're interested in to learn more and be notified when it becomes available, please please let me know. Reach out to me after the call, or just post a question on Topliners. Moving to user experience, deliverability best practices. So we have updated branding and configuration workbook, consistent branding per IP, proper domain configuration, and email authentication setup. We're moving from shared IP to dedicated IP, and if you're particularly interested in this area, please reach out to Oracle support for instructions how to set up on a branded domain or dedicated IP. And now we have, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nathan. Go ahead. I have a question when we have a break.
Should we let's take it now. What's the question?
Okay, so it's going back to the Eloqua sales tools, some of that info. So it says the new release of the Eloqua sales tools is having issues with users using the Microsoft Dynamics 365 plugin in Outlook. The Eloqua sales tools profiler does not display with both plugins installed. Is there a fix for this, or is someone aware and working on a fix?
Personally, I'm not aware of this issue. I will encourage, please either submit an SR to Eloqua support, or again, shoot me a quick email after this call, so I can follow up with support and see where we are. And yeah, if this sounds to me, if Eloqua support is not aware of this issue, it definitely should be.
Okay, yeah, this was an anonymous post, but so if you've in posting that, see, Nathan, I can put your email address in the follow-up.
Yes, please. Yes,
for
please
everyone.
share.
Okay.
Yeah, please share my email address. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go into the campaign canvas, y'all, deactivate it, and I'm gonna go do some magic based on. I'm gonna use some of the new tricks that we learned today. Well, that I learned today, but we'll include Nathan's direct contact. So who, if you want to follow up with him on this, if you've not already or heard back from Oracle on it, then he'll do that for you. Yeah,
I'm happy to help.
Thank you.
As I mentioned, we have a bunch of changes related to the Salesforce app. So for the Salesforce app, we have so couple of things that actually drive our prioritization and basically how we decide on what work on what features should be work on first versus everything else. So first of all, we get any requests of incremental enhancements and additions to the app, either through SRs or through I'm kind of review comments and posts on Topliners weekly, or sometimes as direct direct emails. So we review those requests and identify, most impactful that and urgent, and this one area. Another area, we still have some edge cases related to the native integration that we need to close and tackle in a Salesforce app. Just a reminder that Salesforce native integration is a deprecated product. It's still fully functional and active. We have a few customers who are still using native integration because they are waiting for a product update. So if you're still using native integration for whatever reason, and you never reached out to Oracle support, or you never notified us, please do it, because we're going very active on this gaps, and like, for example, support for lookup tables is more noticeable feature that's available in Salesforce native integration. That's currently not available in the Salesforce app, that will be closing later this year. And basically, the native integration, again, is a deprecated product. You should not be using that. If you need more time, if you don't have the resources or any other issue that's not product related, you need more time to complete the migration, and you want to make sure that Oracle supports you during migration, we'll be more than happy to do that, but we need to know about it. So just want to reiterate it's a very important point. If for whatever reason you're still using Salesforce native integration, which is fully functional at the moment, and you're not sure how to migrate, you have questions, or you don't have resources at the moment to do that, and you plan to have these resources maybe later in this year, whatever the problem is that prevents you from completing migration, I would encourage you to open an SR with Oracle as soon as possible, and let us know what exactly the issue is, because we have the resources. We have resources that can help you to complete the migration. We have teams, we have information, we have teams, we have everything you need in order to do that. If you need a quick demo, I'll be more than happy to jump on a call with you, schedule a demo, and do a quick demo and explain how the integration works. Again, if you started the migration, but you hit a roadblock at some point and you're not sure how to handle it, this is kind of, I would like to hear from you as well. So because the native integration is a discontinued product, there are no plans at the moment to shut it down or anything like that. It's fully functional. It will continue to be functional in the short term. However, since it's a discontinued product, if there's an API change on a Salesforce site and this API wasn't updated in the native integration, we might start seeing some problems. So again, whatever the issue is, please let us know, and I'll go back to the list of 23A updates related to the Salesforce app. So there are a couple of tactical updates. So for similar to Salesforce contact and lead objects, now on the Salesforce account objects, you can configure the app to split a billing address on the account object, which is Salesforce account objects, which is a text area field. It's fairly lengthy, so you want to make sure when the contact data goes from Eloqua to Salesforce and back, and the lengthy address field is split back and forth between Eloqua address fields, Eloqua contact address fields, and text area, and no bit is lost in translation, so to speak. So this is what this functionality is for. So it really comes down to kind of automating this conversion, making sure that nothing is getting lost, because both systems handle address field differently. Let me put it this way. On the upsert action, if you're familiar with the upsert action in the Salesforce app, now we added the ability to sync back the campaign member ID. So campaign member ID, generally speaking, is managed by the app. So you don't need to, for the integration purposes, you don't need to manage it as a user of the integration. But what we learned from our customers and our users that campaign member effectively is used in Eloqua, for example, for segmentation purposes. So it's although with all benefits of the upsert action, this bit of information is still valuable. So hence we added the ability to sync it back to Eloqua, same way the, for example, create or update actions work. We added pagination to the to Salesforce App daily reports to make the reports easier to read and prevent any possible timeouts, because we deal sometimes when you're dealing with large volumes of data, you do observe this timeout. So it's really both ways: prove usability and prevent timeout errors. Following a couple of requests, we added the ability to sync campaign member status values. Sorry, not campaign member status values, and to update the campaign member status responded flag as a part of the campaign action sync in the Salesforce app. So what we learn again from our customers, that the campaign member status responded attribute is used by many customers for reporting purposes on the Salesforce side. Hence, there's an option right now to sync to set the value of this flag across all campaign member statuses in Salesforce. And by the way, it's in the controlled availability feature. Okay. We also added the ability to create more flexible SOQL queries on import. So if you're familiar with the Salesforce app, with the current implementation, effectively every single query or filter that you put on import, there's also last successful upload date appended behind the scenes to this filter. So now what we realized that certain customers need more flexibility around how date, time fields are managed, how these queries are created. Hence, we added the ability to bypass this last successful date. Effectively, it enables users to create more complex and more powerful SOQL queries. This flexibility probably relevant, I would say 5 to 10% of all users. Most of our customers totally fine with default implementation. However, again, if you ever run into an issue while working with filters or SOQL queries in the Salesforce app, and you were not sure, and you were unable to figure out how to do that, or how to put a specific query together with the app, I would encourage you to take a look at this feature. We added an option to update all security groups on the user import. So if you configure an import, user import specifically, Salesforce import to Eloqua import, in the old in the previous version of the app, you could add only up to 10 security groups. Now there's a single control that allows you to update all security groups in basically in one setting if you need to. And yeah, that's the list of the Salesforce app updates. I know we have a few minutes left.
Yeah, I have one more. I have a question that just came in.
Yeah, sure.
So it looks like talking about Program Builder. So we still use Program Builder for account processing to determine tier and type. I have a Program Builder step to trigger the account sync to Salesforce. Since we can't handle accounts on Program Canvas, this is preventing us from fully transitioning off Program Builder for Salesforce integration. Will this change in the future?
Yes. So right now, the short answer is yes. About the program builder, unlike the Salesforce native integration, program builder, just to emphasize this point, is fully supported. It's right now it's a good time to bring up. We understand there are there's certain parity gaps between program builder and program canvas. Like for example, update rules. It's a well-known gap. And matching rules. So please, I'll encourage you either, again, same deal, either send me just a quick email directly to me and I'll make sure I pass this information to my colleague who is currently tasked with program builder gap analysis, or submit an SR through Eloqua support. Either way works, whatever it's more easier for you. We appreciate your comments and feedback, but in the long run, the point where we want to get to the point where program canvas is actually superior, support has more features, more functionality, enables you to do more comparing to the old program builder.
Okay, we have another question. Nathan, can you talk more about updating multiple security groups? Just to clarify, can they update a specific setting for all of our security groups in bulk rather than one at a time?
You can update all security groups. So when you import, it applies only to users import. So so you bring in user accounts from Salesforce to Eloqua, and you want to add this user to specific user group. You can do it today. The problem is that the current UI in the app is limited to 10. So with the current UI, you can add the specific user to up to 10 security groups. We have users that with tens, even one customer with over 100 of different security groups. So this is not, of course, that's not something that's going to work for them. So this option will effectively instruct the app to add a user account that's bring from Salesforce to all security groups, to all available security groups in Eloqua.
Okay, looks like that answered it. Well, any other questions for Nathan? I think we're down to 1 minute. If something else comes up, I am going to go in and update our follow-up email that you'll get following the webinar or this meeting, and have Nathan's direct contact detail there. You can follow up with him directly and get more insights on that. I also just realized this was a slide. Oh yeah, so here's me, by the way. I told you my name. There's info on, I've been around Eloqua for a long time. I think I mentioned it a couple of times during this conversation, dating back to 2007. Corey, one of my customers, former customers, hi Corey, had a great tip in the Q&A on setting up your timing in your wait steps as you're looking at things. I'll maybe share that tip as well as some of these others directly in our follow-up email as well. But yep, I am around. I will be leading the user group moving forward. So my email address is right here. Kristin.Connell, Kristin with a K and 2 I's, .Connell@sojournsolutions.com. I'll send this out. You'll have my details in the follow-up email. You can respond with anything else you may have. So with that, we will let you all get back to it. I know you're all very busy. Thank you for joining today. And Nathan, Kelly, thank you for presenting as well.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, and thanks for everybody's responses and activity in the Q&A today. That was amazing.
I know, like it has to be a record. I'm seeing like there's like 20 questions. I don't know. I'll have to check with KP. We might have broke a record. I'll let you know. Maybe not, but we'll let you know. Thanks. Let's see, and end.